Some of us don't consume certain vegetables and animal products because we don't know the difference between hybrid and GMO. Now, today I want to beg you in the name of God that hybrid is not the same as GMOs. I repeat, today I want to beg you in the name of God that hybrid is not the same as GMOs, aka genetically modified organisms. So I am going to give you the difference between GMO and then hybrid. And if for any other reason you don't want to consume genetically modified organisms, I can show you a simple trick that you can use to buy produce that are not genetically modified organisms. Now, what is hybrid? Hybrid, in a simple definition, is the offspring you produce as a result of cross-pollinating two organisms of the same species to achieve a specific trait. Now let me break it down, and I am going to break it down with a simple scenario. It's just like a woman that is very dark and then a man that is fair. They agree to give birth, or they agree to marry so they can give birth to children that are not dark or children that are not too fair. So a scientist would pick a crop or a variety of produce, like say tomatoes. We'll pick one variety that is high resistance to diseases, and then we'll pick another variety that can also produce a lot but very susceptible to diseases. Cross them and then make sure that the offspring or the end result that will come is going to be one that will produce high results and also be able to withstand diseases. So this is basically what hybrid is. And I want to assure you that almost every single produce you buy from the market, one way or the other, is a hybrid because it has been developed, and what you see was a combination of different varieties that were put together. Now, what is, on the other hand, GMO? GMO is genetically modified organism. It also works under the same principles of hybrid, but in this case it is not natural as compared to hybrid. Hybrid, the cross-pollination occurs naturally, but when you pick the GMO, you cross or you introduce a gene of a different organism into another one with the use of biotechnology. So this particular one is done at the lab. Now, one of the things that makes hybrid and GMO different is that as for hybrid, unless the organisms you are going to cross-pollinate them are of the same species. If they are not of the same species, you can't do. What I mean by that is that you can't pick plantain and then cross-pollinate it with cassava and get a hybrid of plantain and cassava. No. However, for GMO, you can even pick coconut and pick, say, pepper and introduce a gene or a genetic into the coconut to get a specific trait that you want. And say a scientist pick a tomato and introduce a gene in a pig into the tomato that makes it grow fatty into the tomato. It means that you are going to get a result of a tomato that can produce fat. So if you are somebody who is allergic to pigs, then it means that consuming that particular tomatoes, one way or the other, you are consuming something from a pig source. That is one of the reasons why most people don't like GMO. Let me show you a simple trick that you can use to buy produce that are not GMO, or at least you have an idea what variety or what type of seed is being used to produce. Now, elsewhere, it is very easy because when you go to the market, if a produce is a genetically modified organism, it is labeled so you would have an idea of what you are buying. But it is not the same as our system. And to the best of my knowledge, genetically modified organisms are not approved to be produced in Ghana. I stand to be corrected. However, because we outsource most of our produce from places like Burkina Faso and then other neighboring countries, it is very difficult for you as an individual to tell that this is genetically modified organism. However, the fact that you can't also tell that this is genetically modified organism doesn't mean that when the thing grows very big or it looks too fresh, it is genetically modified organism, because hybrid can also produce same results. Now, one simple trick that you can use to at least buy a produce that you have an idea of whether it is a hybrid or genetically modified organism is that instead of going to Antimansa at the market to buy your tomatoes, how about you buy it directly from a farmer? In this case, you are buying from where you know who produced it and what the person used to produce.